We have been joined by the man we were just talking about,
Right.
founder of the Redemption line of quality products, who was just on our show. We went through the whole story. Ryan Basore. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, how's it going? I'm trying to.
Oh, buddy.
Hey guys, I'm trying to get my camera. Is my camera working?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's telling me it's not. So
Well, you trimmed your beard from the last time we saw you. That's how well your camera's working. I can
That's
see
been
that.
that's almost 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, man. Time's a trip.
Got too hot.
So Ryan, we've been talking about your Redemption products. We've had a couple of our panelists here talk about their success with the program and how much they love it. How's the rollout of Redemption going for you?
It's going great. As you know, it was a lot of speed bumps with the packaging and trying to beat the Chinese New Year and ordering from a factory from Wuhan, and I had a couple months delay, which was a pretty great learning experience, and got to see how patient my strategic partners, growers and processors and provisioning centers are, which is awesome. It's going great. So we launched with prepackaged flour, 5 packs of 0.7 gram pre-roll 8s, and then 1 gram pre-rolls. And I've followed back up. Mostly everyone has sold out, and then we launched again with diamonds and live resin carts on the rec and medical market last week, and that's been going great. And just had another flower orders I took today, and it's just going really fast. So I'm happy, I'm excited, and it's a cool gig.
Well, the growers and the processors you're talking about are all documented on a series of videos that you can find on the Redemption Canna website. We'll get to that address in just a minute, but you can take a look at the people behind the actual product line itself. Go into the gardens of the people that are growing the products going into these, and take a look at the high-tech methodology that's being utilized to create diamonds and some of the wonderful products that bear your brand name, right, Ryan?
You got it, man. It's all that, and thanks for helping me with all that, Rick. If you guys want to see some great videos, it's been really cool. It's been cool because I'm at basically, I started off in 13 stores, and those stores are going to grow, and I've got a couple new ones that I just sent flour to I'm taking orders for today that I'm getting them in on it, and just to be able to work with like people that I have long-standing relationships, or they've helped me out, personally or business-wise. And but most of the people, everyone I'm really working with, and the stores too, for the most part, are business people, but activists as well. So especially my strategic partners. So that makes a huge difference in when we're trying to determine our pricing. Even like, do we, like right now on the rec market, you can sell diamonds live resin for, in reality, $40 a gram wholesale, or 45, because it's going for that much. Even higher, same live resin carts on the rec market you can sell for 35. We didn't do that. We were quite a bit lower, and everyone's happy with the margins and the money they're making. But then at the end, the end user is able to get those products at a significant difference from maybe say the same comparable quality. So that's what we're doing, and I'm happy everyone's on board with that for me, because these are long relationships, and I want to make them go a lot longer.
When we talk about keeping a price low so that you can move units, each one of those sales contributes some dollars towards a special fund that we talked a little bit about. We teased the audience about. Chris Silva originally came up with the idea, and that's attached to each one of the Redemption product sales. Could you tell us a little bit more about your special foundation that you're working with?
Yeah, it's getting a little distracted by Jamie a little bit, but no, just kidding.
Well, you want to get distracted, wait till Ray shows you his nipples. It does.
Okay, I missed that.
Okay.
So yeah, no, my buddy, you guys know, I met Chris in 2015. I might have been with Jamie at the time, or Rick. I know Jeff Hank was there, but it was down at the My Legalized office downtown. We're at Jeff Hank's office, and I spent a lot of time with him and Nick Sattel and became buddies. We had, just hit it off, and Chris is someone that I talk to every day, and so he's a true believer, and definitely believes in the redemption and what I'm doing. So he came up with the idea that it's 10% for their store at the farmhouse. It's 10% off of all their products if you have a marijuana felony, and 5% if you have a misdemeanor. And now at Oma Medicine, which I have a long history with, and then Botanical Company, which I also have a long history with the people. They're doing 10% and 5%, but for redemption products. See how it goes, and then maybe we can get them to switch it over to everything as time goes by. And then the other stores that I'm in, we're starting to have discussions. I've even had some of their attorneys reach out to me and say, hey, I want my guys to do this. I'm going to pitch it. And I'm like, well, yeah, I just haven't gotten around to talking to them about it yet, because those were the first 3 stores really pushing it. And the idea is to get everybody to do it. I don't care if Green Peak copies that too, but give everyone 5% off. These are the people that, like that have had adverse. It's super, super concrete. Like, you've had a marijuana misdemeanor or a felony. And if you had a felony, you most likely went through some shit. So, get your discount. It's real. It's not made up. It's not like, it's concrete. And, I just feel like it's there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's the right thing to do.
We're pretty familiar with discounts for things like being a senior citizen or having a veteran's discount. So we're used to, in society, seeing people extend discount towards particular groups in order to give them an advantage because they've had a rough time.
Right.
This is the first time we've seen someone say, hey, cannabis criminals labeled by the society. You guys have had a rough life too. But what can we do for you? So,
well, we talk about that, and Jamie and Rick, and other
You
people.
left it here.
We've known last 10 years, 11 years. It's been some pretty intense moments. Whether it's from getting pulled over all the time, helicopters chasing, or even, even recently, I got kicked out of Morgan Stanley for marijuana. I got kicked out of a regular bank account for it. I got kicked out of my massage therapist for smelling like marijuana. So we were still getting it. And this is, like, why wouldn't marijuana felons, people with misdemeanors that should get a discount? Because it all adds up. If those people wouldn't have been getting those charges and never went out on a limb and decided cannabis is good for me, or I'm going to do this, and I believe in it, then we wouldn't have stores to walk into.
I'll tell you this, every time the system created a cannabis criminal, whether they were a felon, a misdemeanor, or even a ticketed person, everyone that knows them and knows them as a good, solid individual, they learn to hate the system. The system had its own cancer, and the cancer on the system was the war on drugs. It affected African Americans and communities of color disproportionately, but it affected the entire nation for generations. We were told lies, indoctrinated into their theories in elementary school. And now this is the way that we slowly extricate that brainwashing from our society through things like what you're doing right now, Ryan. And thank you very much for taking a stand on behalf of people that don't normally get people in their corner.
I mean, this is fun for me. I'm excited because I don't have my first month. This is my first month of having revenue with sales equals revenue. So, I've already I'm the first money for the nonprofit is coming rolling in here, and within 2 weeks I'm gonna have I can start that process. So I was just talking to some people about today. I'm real excited. I got a relationship with a testing lab we're going to finalize where they're going to be donating to the nonprofit. So one of my goals is to just not have the revenue stream of 10% of my revenue go to the nonprofit from redemption, but multiple streams, maybe other businesses and other partnerships that are doing something and donating from that as well. So a lot of cool
Jamie,
stuff.
could you mute that second phone, please, Jamie?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, we're catching your conversation.
So yeah, no, there's some good stuff coming, and I needed to have the business start off before I could start the nonprofit. You know, it's chicken before the egg before the chicken or whatever, but that's coming next, and a lot more products and a lot of rec products and just a lot of cool stuff happening.
Ryan, a minute ago, we were speaking about the militarization of police and the use of power and excessive use of power. We're seeing it on display in the streets of America, but we've also seen it historically in the use of the enforcement of the drug war. And we talked about your situation specifically. You know exactly what it feels like to have paramilitary forces descend upon you and zap up your stuff. How do you feel when you see this on the television, when you see paramilitary forces in our streets? The exact, opposite of what we always were told the military was allowed to do in their role in American society.
Yeah, it was tough because if you remember on mine, I was contacting the state police, telling them, I know you're looking at me. I can see you, like, don't raid us, like, walk in, don't steal our stuff. And then we got Granholm at the time signed off on it. And it's controversial. It didn't get to be talked about in court because that's how it works. Because we didn't, anyways, I don't need to get into that. But it was a question if it was legal. But she signed off to have the National Guard, the military, come in and raid us. While they've already know that what we're doing. So, we did have the Black Hawk helicopters and the troops come out of the air and smoke bomb us. But then, really, the second one that kind of like gets me thinking about it was in 2012 at my house. I was growing. I had a big basement, and I was down in the basement, and I'd taken a bunch of edibles. I was relaxed, and it was loud down there with the fans. And all of a sudden, I hear running through the house. I'm like, oh shit! And people screaming. The cops screaming. So I come up up my stairs in the basement, and they rip open the door, and I look down. And I've got 10 red dots on me. Just standing there at that point. And I think about that, like, what happens if one of these cops that's not trained, you see them make mistakes, and what happens on that. So I think about that. Actually, that's a good question, because it gives me flashbacks of when I was kind of like, like, it was, I don't know, they could have pulled a trigger, but like when you got all those dots on you and you're helpless, what are you gonna do? And then then they had me come up, and I put my hands behind my back, and they laughed at me like, why would you think we're going to arrest you? And they were all nice to me. So it's a trip.
Well, those dots you're talking about, for people that don't know, those are laser targeting dots from the barrels of their guns. So when you have 10 dots on you, that's 10 firearms held by 10 nervous and anxious police officers who maybe hopped up on
looking down the stairs at me,
Yep. In a shadowy environment where perhaps, they might think they see something that they don't. So that's
over cannabis.
Yeah, all because of cannabis. Jamie, you still have 2 phones on. No, none muted.
That's 2 phones.
Yep.
I need to double emphasize that statement.
Because we did. So Ryan, when it comes to Redemption, you've had to relocate some of your sourcing to American sources, to North American sources, as opposed to Asian sources. This is a story we're seeing as a result of COVID all across the industry. Tell us a little bit about how that evolved and what your solution was.
Well, we started off with China, and obviously, everything that happened. So even though it's still cheaper, obviously, but who knows what's going to happen with the world, with our relationship with China, or what happens if there's another virus, or you name it, getting through customs. So it just, and I'd rather buy from the local. I'd rather buy from, I'd rather buy from all from Michigan, of course. I'd rather buy from all from Lansing or wherever I'm doing business. But I went with I'm talking to a really good packaging company that's, my rep lives around the corner by chance, and already had some cannabis experience. But I'm finding out actually, like, Illinois and Indiana is like 30 to 40% less than Michigan. So like, I'd like to buy from Michigan. I'm making a final decision, but for the same exact product, for some reason right now, Illinois and Indiana is cheaper. So I might become a Midwestern supplier.
Well, the fact is we're moving away from those overseas markets to find more North American sourcing for some of the things we do.
Yeah.
And whether Michigan would be ideal, but still keeping it here within the nation is is really, that's the focus.
Yeah,
In the future,
I'm gonna pay more, but that's fine. You get you know, as a business person, you can't have that uncertainty of not knowing if your stuff's your packaging is going to arrive for months. You know, that kills you.
Well, and that's really the trade-off that a lot of people use to justify dealing overseas, was the smaller per unit price, even though the uncertainty factor was greater. Now we have just-in-time delivery of parts to our production facilities because no one wants to warehouse anything, and the just-in-time philosophy means you have to have supply available and ready ahead of time.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited about that. That was a great learning process, and quite a project in the middle of COVID. But you know, it seems a lot more simple now that I've been through it a few times. But it was, you know, when you've never done anything before or done something before, it sometimes throws you some curveballs.
You used a Michigan design team for your logo and packaging, though. Wouldn't that be true?
Yep. Traverse City, Legendary Lion. Really happy with them because I did get quoted out. Top marijuana design branding website companies in the country versus local versus non. And these guys I thought were top notch, and they believe in, you know, what I'm doing and marijuana, the activism part of it. And I feel like them, along with some other, you know, people, subsidized really my work because they believed in what I was doing. So I was able to get a really good quality, still at something that could work within my budget.
Redemption really has a lot of roots up north, including the city of Kalkaska, where you have a couple of suppliers, plus a future business prospect as well. And Kalkaska is just a great story of a community that decided to embrace cannabis and has really reaped the benefits from that. Can you talk a little bit about your suppliers up in the Kalkaska region and what your future plans might be for that area?
Sure. So I was really involved in the end of 16 with Kalkaska was talking about opting in, one of the first ones in the state, and built some relationships, and those are long lasting, and I believe in what they were doing. That town went all in. They had the infrastructure. They cut through the red tape, and they get things done. So you know, I was able to help Tom Beller, who's Relief Solutions, and Krista. Met them back a while back from the Lansing area, and I had figured out I had secured a property in the industrial part, and could help to get them their license and their land. And Tom did everything, and Krista, from start to finish, whether it be growing, contracting, writing his application. It's really quite amazing actually what they've done. So he's there. Also is Fresh Coast Extracts, which is real as well, but Fresh Coast Extracts, who's done all my processing, all the diamonds, all the live resin carts, the shatter and sugar coming. So that's a huge deal. And not in Kalkaska, but Driven Grow, Drew Drivers over in Frederick, which I helped that municipality along with Jamie and I's old company, MMLE. We opted them in and wrote that ordinance and built relationships there. So I got the chance where I wasn't around for about a year at any of those spots, and I came back, and it was really cool. I got welcomed with open arms by all the municipality people. I had dinner at some of their houses, and it's just been awesome that they you know, that they still held me, that they welcomed me back the way they did. I'll just put it that way. Didn't blame different things on me, but besides that, you know, there's botanical companies going to be having a rec and medical dispensary right downtown, the only one downtown and the farthest one north. And right next to it is going to be the Kalkushka Lounge, a rec lounge, 2,500 square feet, and it's going to be more of an old Western feel to it. It's like 15-foot ceilings with great crown molding, just this beautiful old building, brick walls, hardwood. And it's going to be something else. We'd like to be the first one open in the state. And I got a lot of ideas for that, a lot of different things I'm going to be doing, whether it be brand parties, you know, the Christmas parties we get open are going to be quite something else at first. And even having some really cool, just all types of things. I got a lot of ideas. And it's always been my dream to have a lounge or a smoking club, and this is it. So I'm all in on it. I got denied in Lansing. I went for one, and maybe it was a blessing because of what's happening in Kalkaska, where it's a town where there's no housing. They need more housing. That's going to come, but the hospital is the biggest employer with about 500-600 employees, and cannabis companies where there's 20 big grows, and about 6 of them are already going now. And there's going to be five stores. There's processors. There's secure transport. There's testing. That there's going to end up being 1,500 cannabis jobs in Kalkaska. I mean, it is transforming the town, and they just got a grant from the state for 3.2 million to across the street from the lounge and the dispensary, where it's going to be where the trout is, and it's going to be a pavilion and amphitheater and food trucks. And then now they're going for another $8 million grant, and they're talking about making this the hub of the railway of up north, and then also start really bringing back like color. They do color tours, but start having like commuter trains to try to go up north and special things like that. So it's fun to watch because, you know, I've been around Lansing, East Lansing, Traverse City, Acme, all these places where it's like just pulling teeth to get anything done, and they don't, you know, it's all politics and up there they're 100% like on board, believe in it, and like just they run the town like a business and like a smart business right now, and it's fun to watch to see that.
Now, you're saying they're running the town like a business, but clearly the citizenry has complete buy-in on this program, right? I mean, we're talking about this is authorized stuff from ordinances and from everything else that's necessary. True?
Yep, it is.
Did Ryan freeze on us?
Yeah, he might have, but I can answer that, and that's definitely true. That town is embracing it. They're seeing the positive results and taking advantage of it and being the smart, as Ryan was alluding to, being the smart place in the area.
Yeah.
And getting this stuff up and moving without the extra politics and stuff like that. Acme and Traverse City did this lottery type system to see who would get the licenses, and that turned into a fiasco for everybody.
Mhm. Yeah, there's a lot of strategies when it comes to local communities opening up to cannabis industry. Not all of them are going to be successful. But when you look at Kalkaska, a couple things Ryan said really stand out. They've got one grant already given and another one that they're working on in order to otherwise improve the city too. That's a council that cares. That's a council that's actually working hard to make things better for their community. So what a great pairing that'll be.
I actually met these guys a long time ago as well. And a few of them anyway are like these former business leaders, owners, who retired and moved up there and still want to do stuff. And they have like this ability and this mindset, and have had to find something that would really help out the city, some way to generate revenue. And as they're planning for this and coming up with all kinds of big ideas and stuff, this opportunity to get the sharing and from the commercial sales, the tax revenue from the commercial sales sharing in their local area, if they opt in, came along, and it seems like it was a perfect fit to fit along with their growth plans in that area. So it worked out quite well. I think we got Ryan back now. Are you back?
Ryan was back for a moment, but seems to not be available right at the second.
Or he's just staring us down.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool hand Luke kind of a thing to do right there. So when we talk about redemption, there's the story of Ryan. The story of Ryan is really the story of our industry. Success, smackdown by government, penalty phase, rebirth, resurgence, and then an ability to survive from the unregulated market into the new. His really is. It's quite an amazing thing. I will say too, in Michigan, as we open up and we have an opportunity for more things like gatherings like Cannapalooza, the Michigan Cannabis Business Development conferences that we used to do, when those things become more available, information transfer is a lot easier to do. And Ryan will be doing a lot more speeches and talks about his particular history and how he's turned that into a successful business model. That'll be something that we see across the state a lot more. And I think it's a great representation for our industry.
I agree. And also Ryan's been involved in a lot more of the history and a lot more of the details of things getting done over the years too, that we can talk about, as we get more into this conversation and check in on how the product's doing and how he's doing with everything.
See, he was live. He was just holding still and pretending. He had us totally fooled. Totally fooled, Ryan.
He was just
Oh,
staring
man.
down for a
Oh,
while.
see, now he comes alive.
Hey, something's going on with my computer.
It's okay. Hey, listen, Ryan, did you have any way for people to get a hold of Redemption, the website, how they can reach you? Somebody's got an extra phone on?
Yeah, www.redemptioncanna.com. And then, Ryan B at redemptioncanna.com will work. And, social media and all that. If somebody messages, I definitely see it and on all my channels at some point. So, yeah, reach out, get a hold of me. I appreciate all the positive feedback I've gotten from people that I know and don't know, and it's fun.
Thanks for the candid conversation today, too. I know it's tough to talk about some of those more difficult times in your life.